Hello, welcome to a really quick 7C basics video. I just want to cover real quickly inflicting hits and winning the game. So, real quick, in 7C, the way that you win the game is one of two ways. Either you can sink the opponent's captain. If the captain is sunk, then you win. And a second way you can win is control cards. So here, let me pull out my 5 control cards. Control cards, there's a number of different types of them in the game. They made about maybe 3 or 4 different versions for each C. So they attach to a C, and they basically say on the C which one. So this is the mirror, this is trade. And if you have a control card in each C at the end of the turn, then you win the game. So that's just an alternate win con they introduced, but keep aware of it. But in general, most of the games are going to be won by sinking your captain. Now, the way that you would inflict hits and sink captain, sink crew is one of two ways. One way is you can attack a crew with a cannon skill. Let's say that my opponent here has a gunner with a cannon skill of 4. They can attack that crew and deal 4 hits. Now, in order for me to suffer those hits, I will need to attack crew or sink crew with swashbuckling equal to 4. So, if they're inflicting 4 with that crew, I can attack this. Alternatively, I could attack Rose Thorn for 2 and sink Rose Thorn for another 2. Another way that 2 crew could, another way that you can win the game is by boarding attack, inflicting hits. So let's say that we're both in a boarding attack and I push forward my captain. And I push forward my captain with a slash as an attack to start it. If my opponent decided, and they're feeling very confident, they may push forward their captain to attempt to stop my attack. Now this is especially risky. Guy McCormick here has 3 swashbuckling and 2 swordsmen. So if Guy McCormick wins this boarding attack, then he will deal 5 hits. Kyer has 5 swashbuckling and 2 swordsmen. So the Kyer here can absorb 5 hits just from his swashbuckling alone. Also, he's dealing at least 7 hits. He has game text that allows him to deal 4 more, but let's ignore that for now. Let's just say that he's dealing 5 swashbuckling plus 2 swordsmen, and we'll just ignore the rest of the game text. If the Kyer wins this round, the person that's engaged in him is going to have to attack and sink before any other crew to absorb the hits. So if Guy McCormick loses this round of the boarding, the opponent will lose the game. So let's say they played, I pushed Kyer forward with a slash, they pushed forward and they responded with a club. I would have to respond to the club with something else. So let's say I respond with a thrust. And then opponent, I'm looking over at my opponent's hand here. They only have 1 card in hand and they can't respond with a thrust. Guy McCormick is now going to have to suffer 7 hits. He attacks for 3, leaving 4 more, and he has to sink because he was engaged with the guy. He's on the hook for all the hits before the overflow is taken. So that's another way that you can win the game. Most of the time, however, though, when you win the game, you're probably going to sink all of the crew on the opponent's ship, and then the captain's the last one to be attacked and sunk to absorb hits. So, real quick, you can attack crew to absorb hits. You can sink crew to absorb hits. You can you can inflict hits either from a cannon attack or from a boarding attack. And when the opponent pushes a crew forward in a boarding attack, the crew pushed forward that loses is on the hook to absorb, attack, and sink to absorb the hits before the overflow is taken to the rest of the ship. In this example, if the opponent had never pushed anyone forward, then all the other crew could attack and absorb the hits before the captain was on the line to do that. So, it's just one thing to note.